Shocking stuff here, perhaps not surprising, but it remains shocking. Nearly 2 years after the January 6th insurrection, thousands of previously unseen text messages are revealing the lengths to which Republican lawmakers went in their efforts to overturn the 2020 election. Talking Points memo has obtained 2,319 texts that were turned over to the House January 6th committee earlier this year by former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. They show Meadows in conversation with at least 34 Republican members of Congress, with many of those lawmakers sharing debunked conspiracy theories about a stolen election in order to help then-President Donald Trump stay in office. In one text sent to Meadows just 3 days before Joe Biden's inauguration, South Carolina Congressman Ralph Norman writes, quote, "Our last hope is invoking martial law.
Oh,
Please urge President to do so." It's unclear if Meadows responded to that message. He did, however, respond to a plan to overturn the election floated by Arizona Republican Andy Biggs. After Biggs raised debunked claims that a substantial number of illegal immigrants had cast ballots, Meadows responded, quote, "I like it." The texts also show extensive efforts by Pennsylvania Congressman Scott Perry to have environmental lawyer Jeffrey Clark installed as Attorney General in the final days of the Trump administration. Remember, Clark was dismissed by the people at the Justice Department. If we have an oil spill, we'll let you know if we need you. After responding once to that, the text exchange shows Meadows ignored multiple messages from Perry. Included in those texts, a popular right-wing conspiracy theory about an Italian defense contractor stealing the election for Democrats.
Yeah, and some of it, if you saw it really fast there, scrolling says, check your Telegram channel, meaning the 2,319 Mark Meadows texts that apparently everybody has had for over a year because Mark Meadows was originally cooperating with the January 6th committee before he went to court and, of course, lost. But it says, check your Telegram channel, meaning that's just the tip of the iceberg. They've been, texting each other on encrypted apps, too. Not just, the ones that he turned over, 2,319 that he turned over text messages that we can see now. Ralph Norman, oh, my God, it's like an amazing thing. Ralph Norman, Andy Biggs, Mo Brooks, Ted Cruz, Mike Lee, all of them, Scott Perry. Every one of the people that we all suspected were, urging Donald Trump to overthrow his own government were urging Donald Trump to overthrow his own government. The White House Chief of Staff, Mark Meadows, was the go-between, if not the glue that held them all together on these crackpot legal theories, on this crazy paranoid conspiracy crap about an election being stolen. I mean, it was just full of lies. Basically, now that Elon owns Twitter, perhaps they wouldn't have to use a Telegram channel. They could just post it on Twitter. And Elon will protect it as free speech. You're allowed to, incite an insurrection against your own government. Because remember, that's why Donald Trump was kicked off of the Twitter. He was kicked off of the Twitter for inciting violence. Now he's back on the Twitter, but he doesn't tweet. He doesn't tweet. He doesn't do anything anymore. They just announced that he was, running for president, and then we didn't hear anything about it. This is so messed up. It is so disgusting because if you took a document, a single solitary, I remember I confessed once, I mean, maybe I'll get arrested now, all these many years later, but I don't know if, constant listeners, loyal clients of mine will remember the story when Al Franken was a senator. When Al Franken actually got elected to the United States Senate, it was kind of unbelievable to me. It was kind of amazing that could happen. Now, remember, he won by 312 votes, right? And he was running against Norm Coleman, so I rest my case. Okay, but anyway, Al Franken actually gets elected and goes to the Senate. So at that time, Howard was still actively lobbying Congress, and so he knew his way around pretty good. Anyway, I had just started dating him. By the way, today is our 15th anniversary. Man, how time flies when you're not having any sex. Oh, did I say that? But anyway, Howard took me to the office building where the senators live and toil, and I found Al Franken's office, and I went in there. There was no one in there. But I went in there and I stole. I actually pilfered. I actually lifted. I did a 5-finger discount is what I did. A United States Senate mouse pad. I still have it. It's red. I don't know if it was Al's, because I would imagine that it just said, it was generic. It just said U.S. Senate, and it was a mouse pad, and it was red. And I imagine that if it was, Al was occupying he would have switched it out for the blue. But I don't know. I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know what the procedure might be for such a thing. I don't know. Perhaps you have to make a request, and then 5 years later you get your mouse pad, because it is the government after all. No, but I did. I stole it, and I still have it. I still have it all these many years later. So, but trust me, if you did that, if you stole anything from, the National Archives, the White House, any, you'd be in jail. Now, I'm not in jail because maybe I'm just a touch more special than you. Maybe I am. I don't know. Or maybe it isn't actionable. Or maybe Al wouldn't press charges and it would be up to him. I don't know. But I did do that. So I feel the need to confess, because I'm going to say that if this was anybody other than Donald J. Trump who stole documents, okay, there would have already been proceedings and an adjudication and a verdict, okay, in the matter. We know this because I think Sandy Berger, from the Clinton years, if you remember that, you're as old as I am. Congratulations. We're now officially as old as the crack in grandma's ass, if we remember Sandy Berger, stole documents and stuffed them in his sock, which is ew. Okay, but he did. And he had to, plead guilty to stealing the documents. He had to. So, but Trump apparently steals hundreds of documents. Okay, hundreds. Admits that that he took them. Says it out loud in public. And then declares they're mine. Now, I'm not saying that the mouse pad I stole was mine. Okay? But Donald Trump is, and nothing has happened. Nothing has happened because he's able to go and either rent a judge or shop and own a judge or do something, right? And in order to slow it all down. Now, Mark Meadows, he's still out and free. Apparently, he exchanged text messages with 34 members of Congress. 34! About plans to overturn the results of the 2020 election. 34! And yes, some of them are Mike Lee, and some of them are Ted Cruz, and some of them are the ones that some of them are Marjorie Taylor Greene, who's, a sweet little country mouse. Oh, she's just as innocent as the day is long. She's just as pure as the driven snow. Why, I was just elected. Heavens to Murgatroyd. I was just elected. Jeez, little Pete, I couldn't have possibly influenced anybody's decision, although she put out videos saying, I just met at the White House to discuss our plans for January 6th. So apparently, being a congresswoman elect was good enough to get her into the White House to have a meeting about January 6th. And, of course, she tweeted, this is your 1776 moment, because she's a QAnon. See you next Tuesday with a Q. She is. And a liar. Don't have time to listen to the live show? Want to hear more on your schedule? Go to randyrhodes.com and buy a stinking podcast.